We're excited to meet you all, to hear about your work, which is, of course, very important to us and the organization. It's been an extraordinary year, an extraordinarily difficult year for many people, and I want to acknowledge how difficult it's been to be productive during this time. And thank you all for taking the time to join us. The IGC has gone through a lot of transitions itself this year, and I'm so happy to announce that, as you probably all know, having voted, a slate of new elected regional representatives will be leading the IGC going forward. That's exciting news to be able to celebrate. So we'll talk more about that later in the program, but I just wanted to share how happy I am that change is occurring, and that people from every region of the globe that are members of IGC will now be leading the organization. I also want to introduce the first speaker this morning and get right on with our agenda. I want to introduce first Professor Carl Steinitz, who is one of the co-founders of the IGC. He is a professor emeritus at the Harvard Graduate School of Design, an honorary professor at the Center for Advanced Spatial Analysis at University College London. In 1965, he joined Harvard's Laboratory for Computer Graphics, where some of the work that became the basis for GIS began. He's received the highest awards for his teaching and his pioneering exploration of the use of computer technology in landscape planning. Professor Steinitz is principal author of Alternative Futures for Changing Landscapes in 2003 and author of A Framework for Geodesign in 2012. He has lectured and taught workshops at more than 170 universities, and that number is still growing. Welcome, Carl. It's always wonderful to see you.
Thank you. Thank you, Christina. I have a nice role that I like, and that is on behalf of the collaboration to thank three people who have been with us from the beginning, each in their own different way: Jack Dangermond, Ryan Perkle, and Mike Gould. Jack, as you all know, I suspect, is the founder of Esri, which dominates the analysis and mapping and data organization in GIS. But Jack has been involved without knowing it in geodesign for more than 50 years. In 2007, at a small conference of geographers, planners, landscape architects, GIS people at University of California, Santa Barbara, there were several speakers, including me. This was organized by Mike Goodchild when he was a professor there. Jack spoke, I spoke, various other people spoke. And at one point in the conference, Jack blurted out, "This is geodesign." And everybody sort of went, and that term stuck. And it just came into his head. And nobody knows how, why, but the term stuck. Now, in 2018, in the beginning of 2018, in Redlands at the Geodesign Summit, of which there have been about a dozen, Tom Fisher and Brian and I made the decision to start the International Geodesign Collaboration. And the first person during a break in the lectures that I went to and told this about was Jack. And this is the entire conversation that we had. Jack, Tom, Brian, and I have decided to start the International Geodesign Collaboration. Jack, what can I do to help? Carl, I want Ryan and Mike Gould to join us. Jack. And off we went to lunch, different lunches. That was it. Now, Jack has been supportive in front and behind the scenes ever since. He's hosted our conferences. He's supported the technology that people have been using, some of them, most of us. And he's just a good friend. Ryan Perkle is the lead person at Esri in green infrastructure and geodesign. And one reason is that Ryan gave at one of the earliest geodesign summits, the single best geodesign presentation that I've ever seen, ever, anywhere. It was about conservation strategy in the long term for Arizona at one scale, and a planting plan in central Tucson at the same scale out of the same study. Extraordinary. It's just extraordinary. He joined Esri, and now he's doing things all over on implementing geodesign support. And he's really good at what he does. Mike plays a very special role, Mike Gould. He's the global education manager for Esri, and his job, basically, is to make sure that the universities who have access, very friendly access to Esri technology, in many cases free, have the efficiency of getting what they need, using what they need. And sometimes this is a real problem inside universities. And Mike's job is basically to make sure it's a smooth process. And Mike thinks this is a minor activity, but for those of us he helps, and there are several of us that he's helped a lot, he is basically your best friend. And I think that it's appropriate for us as we are growing, and as especially many new universities are joining us, some of which don't have access to the best technology. Thanking them now and hoping that they continue this interest is very much appropriate. I've asked Ryan and then Mike and then Jack to say what they wish to, and then we'll go back into the normal conference schedule with Peter's introduction lecture. So Ryan, you're there somewhere in space. Do you want to take over?
Will do. Thank you very much, Carl. Thanks for the kind words. And welcome everybody to the IGC. I had the pleasure of knowing most of you, but I'm really excited this year because the ranks of this group have grown so much. So welcome to all the newcomers to IGC. We're really interested in your work, and we're really interested, as Carl said, in supporting you. Our globe, our world, humanity faces some very challenging issues right now. And many of you are working on the solutions to help us with that. So geodesign, coupled with many other different techniques, are really our way out of many of these global problems. I thank you for contributing to the solutions, and I'm looking forward to a great couple days. Thank you.
Great. I forgot also to say that when we thank Ryan, we're thanking some anonymous people behind the scenes on his team, without whom this conference wouldn't be going on technically. There's a group of people that he's put together to help Miran and her team, and that's not a trivial task. Mike, you want to make any comments?
Sure, thanks, Carl. And I think Carl said pretty much everything. It's my role to support you all. Esri works with more than 10,000 universities around the world, and you can imagine that these 10,000 are doing a bit of everything. Oftentimes, as Carl mentioned, people don't know that they have access to Esri software within their own institution. And so part of what we do is to connect the dots and make sure you have the right contact people. So please do reach out to me if you need something, and either we'll deliver it directly or through the regional offices, or perhaps, as I said, you've already perhaps got the software or the services in your university. So thanks a lot. I'll just leave you with a little message here in the chat window. If you survive this weekend of long meetings, we have another meeting starting on Monday, which is the Education Summit, Monday and Tuesday. So you're all invited to register for that and join in as well, providing you have the energy. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Mike. Jack, are you there? I know you are somewhere.
Hello. Yes, thank you, Carl, for the very kind words and long time friendship. I appreciate it very much. This is another very important meeting, and a meeting where you are laying out the strategy, sharing what you do. You know, geodesign, as a word worded out of my mouth, as you say, really is built on your shoulders of thinking, integrating geographic thinking, the geographic approach into the way that we design and create the future. And as Ryan said, this is a difficult time. We're perplexed. We're challenged by some of the the greatest challenges that have ever faced us as a human species. And I can't help but think that particularly the IGC, all of you, each of you are playing an important role in creating the next generation of people that will actually be able to address these challenges. And this is serious business, ladies and gentlemen. And as Ryan showed, from regional down to local, this geodesign approach is fundamental to being able to integrate all of the factors of geography, both on the physical side as well as on the cultural side, into creating, I think, a better world. So I can't help but say thank you for being part of this consortium and building the next generation of people. It's very, very important. You're special people. You're a special group, sort of self-selected in a way. And I want to take a moment and just acknowledge you at the beginning of this. And then let's get started.